Yeah, hello, welcome also from my side. My name is Felix Rockel. I'm part of the CATIA Design Solution Consultant team. I'm speaking to you from Hamburg, Germany right now, and I will start with a presentation about CATIA creative design and product experience on the 3D Experience platform. So let's jump right into it. Yeah, so CATIA is really shaping the world we're living. Products from all the big industries are built in 3D and constructed with CATIA. So here are some other examples, but in this webinar, we will focus on the aerospace, on the cabin design. CATIA is sort of divided into 3 different user communities: design, engineering, and system architects. But again, for the first part now, we will focus on the design, on the design part and design solutions of CATIA. CATIA Design itself, you could divide into 3 main columns. We have the creative design. That's where it's starts with really, doing your ideation, your sketching in 3D, your creative sculpting at first in CATIA. Then it goes to the surface refinement, where we can create in CATIA the highest surface quality, the Strag or Class A quality of surfaces. And then we have the product experience part, where you can experience your product, you can visualize it, you can present it to other people, and all that directly in CATIA on the 3D Experience platform. So the workflow I already spoke about with the previous slide a bit, but here a bit more in detail. So we have the ideation part on the bottom right, and then it goes to the concept modeling, surface refinement, visualization, and product experience, and all that on one platform. That's the 3D Experience platform. That means to go from one part to one step to the other, you don't need to change your system or program. You always stay on the 3D Experience platform, and you can switch between the different steps at any point you want. I brought a quick video which showcases this workflow, which I've introduced before. So we are on the 3D Experience platform. On the top left, you can always review where it says now CATIA Natural Sketch. You can always review which application we are in at the moment. So right now I'm in Natural Sketch, and I'm able to sketch in 3D with a Wacom tablet, my ideas. Then I'm switching to Imagine and Shape. I stay on the 3D Experience platform, I stay in CATIA, but I switch the application to Imagine and Shape to do subdivision surface modeling. And I'm generating my model very quickly with this modeling method. So thanks to the associativity of CATIA, I can always access the base surfaces and change my design and update it to really explore my shape, as you can see here. So what I'm creating here is sort of a storage divider in the airplane cabin. And then at any point, I can assign materials to my shape. And that's the real-time visualization that we have now in CATIA. Here you see a human. This one is coming from another new application. It's called CATIA Human Design. And as you can see here, it helps me in order to understand much better my proportions. So I can place the human anywhere in my 3D scene and then start to model around this human. And again, thanks to the integrated visualization, I can quickly assign materials and explore my design or experience my design at a very early stage already with high quality materials, and all that while I'm modeling in real time. So out of this one seat that I've created, I just created a pattern. I have this one seat as my reference, and I create many instances of it. So if I access again my surfaces, as I don't create dead surfaces in CATIA, I can always change my shape. And of course, since the front left is my representation for all the other instances, all the other ones will follow. So also with parametric NURBS modeling, I generated this partition of the cabin, and I can create as many instances of this one as I want as well, in order to enlarge my cabin as long as I want, or as far as I want. And yeah, same, I can always go and change my shape, and all the other shapes will update. Then at any stage, without any extra preparation, I can switch on the VR glasses, and I can experience my design that I've just created in VR. So I can walk around the cabin, see if my proportions are good, how does it actually feel to walk and have a seat in the seat and walk in the cabin. And then I can switch off the glasses. And since I'm directly in CATIA, I can instantly make changes to my model. So here I'm reviewing my model under different lighting conditions. And of course, also the materials I can always change and update if I want to, let's say, experience my cabin or review my cabin with a different trim. And again, I switch on the VR glasses to experience this change that I've done in virtual reality. All right. With this new approach of having all those different solutions on one platform, we changed the traditional workflow. So back then it was the usual workflow was to generate your shapes in your 3D modeling environment, then sort of convert your data to a visualization program where you assign all the materials. And then even if you would like to have a virtual reality experience, you would need to go for a game engine to export the data there and yeah, create your VR experience. And if you decide in the visualization part or in the VR experience, if you recognize that something needs to be changed, you would need to go back to your modeling environment, and then this whole process starts from scratch again. On the platform, this looks totally different because we can create the first surface and right away assign the first material. And already then, after, let's say, 5 minutes, we can review what we have created in virtual reality. So you don't have those loops. You really have a completely integrated solution where you can access everything that you need at any time. Yeah, that's just a screenshot of the user interface of CATIA on the 3D Experience platform in the latest release. So on the top left, you have the compass, that's how we call it. And then under the west quadrant, we have all the 3D applications. So you see here that I have all my favorite applications accessible here, and I can just select them and I switch between them within yeah, just a click of a button. And those different applications give me access to different features that you will see on the bottom in the viewport. So within the video that I've shown, we saw very quickly a lot of different applications in CATIA. So I want to go through them one by one. So the first one to start with would be CATIA Human Design. So like I already mentioned, it's a very simple application to just throw in a human to have a physical representation while you are designing. I also have a quick video to showcase that. So I can throw the human in my 3D scene. And of course, I have different postures and I can individually set the postures for the human and I can save them. So for example, to place him in the driver's seat. Could also put myself into the eyes of the human to experience this cabin, for example, now, how he would see it. Yeah. That's basically human design. Then we have natural sketch for 3D sketching. Works, of course, very, very good together with a Wacom tablet. So you can really sketch as if you would sketch on a piece of paper. Brought some videos as an example for that. So the huge benefit is that you can really sketch with the feedback of your existing 3D geometry. So I don't sketch like on a piece of paper, just on a white field. I have the feedback of existing 3D geometry, and I can sketch in the context of this geometry in order to express first ideas, for example. And for me, another use case is to share ideas and for communication purposes. So as you can see here in this example, so maybe let's say a designer wants to communicate and show the modeler what changes needs to be done. So we can sketch directly those ideas on the existing 3D geometry. Also, one thing that is pretty new since the latest release is sketching natural sketch VR. So you can sketch, you can take on the HTC Vive glasses, for example, the VR glasses, and sketch directly while you are in your VR experience, in your VR environment. And again, one of the big benefits is that you can sketch it in the context of existing 3D data that you have already in CATIA. So let's imagine we already have the basis of the cabin, and we will just walk around the cabin and sketch some details where we would like to have certain things to be modeled afterwards. So in this example, she is using the human as a reference, the human design from the application called Human Design as the reference to sketch this backpack here. The next application that I would like to talk about is subdivision surface modeling with CATIA Imagine and Shape. So as mentioned, it's the method behind this application is subdivision surface modeling. So you start with a base surface, and by subdividing it, you define its actual shape. So those seats, for example, that you can see here are all created with CATIA Imagine and Shape subdivision surface modeling. And like one of the big fields where Imagine and Shape is used is actually in seat modeling and soft parts modeling, because the surface quality that you will generate is enough to go from there directly into the tooling. So you could use those surfaces as your final surfaces for the tooling. And this is also used by many of our customers in that way. Beside that, it's also a very good application to quickly generate ideas into 3D, because it's very, very fast. You will be much faster if you are experienced modeling your surfaces with Imagine and Shape than with other modeling techniques. One feature of Imagine and Shape that I want to point out here is IMA detailed design. And with this one, you can take a black and white image, and it will and map it onto 3D data in order to generate real 3D surfaces. So I have a quick example, I think here, quick example video. And it's not just a bump texture or something, it generates real 3D geometry afterwards. So in this example, it's this pattern and it's mapped on the surface. And it quickly generates the 3D geometry out of that. And the surface quality is, to be honest, it's not perfect, but it's good enough to even 3D print it. So we have 3D printed this part, and it looks very, very nice. If you imagine how fast you are with this method, if you would have modeled that manually, it would have taken you hours, and like this, it takes you just some minutes. So of course, also in CATIA, we can create the highest surface quality out there. And to do that, we use CATIA ISM. So some of you might know maybe ISM Surf, which is our legacy product, and it's used all around the world, especially in the automotive industry, to create the highest surface quality for the A surfaces. We brought the technology from ISM Surf onto the 3D Experience platform into CATIA in order to have the possibility on the platform or in CATIA as well to generate this surface quality. So here you see some examples on the top left. Sometimes when you do NURBS modeling, you get results like this. And if you review the highlight checker, you will notice that the surface quality is not perfect. So with CATIA ISM, you can achieve highlights that are like the bottom right image, where you have really perfect highlight flow on your surfaces. I also have a quick video to showcase that. So the mathematics behind that is Bézier. So you have your Bézier patches, and you can modify the control points in order to really control the highlights on your surfaces. All right. One of the biggest strength of CATIA, I would say, is that it doesn't matter which application you are using and which mathematics are behind this application, whether it be subdivision surface modeling or CATIA ISM Bézier modeling or CATIA NURBS modeling. All the surfaces that you create in CATIA are real CATIA surfaces, and that means that they can interact with each other. So like this, you can do something that we call unified modeling or hybrid modeling, where you can use different modeling applications or ways, and at any stage that you like. So you start maybe with subdivision surface modeling, and then you continue with class A modeling on places where you need a better surface quality. I also brought a quick video to showcase that. So I'm right now in Imagine and Shape. Again, on the top left, you always see the application that we are in. I create my subdivision surfaces. And I will trim them together with a parametric fillet. And of course, thanks to the associativity, we can always change the base surfaces, and my whole scene tree on the left will update. And now I'm creating a NURBS sketch, parametric sketch. And I project this on the subdivision surfaces. This is now generative shape design, so a different application. And I use this parametric sketch to split my subdivision surfaces. And now I'm in CATIA ISM, and I create a Bézier patch and use this Bézier class A patch to trim the side of this geometry. And even though the other surfaces that I've created are from a different application, they interact with each other. I can trim them together without any problems, because all the surfaces we create are CATIA surfaces. And this can make CATIA very, very powerful if you know exactly what you want to use at which state of your modeling. The next thing I want to show is very, very, very new with the latest release. It's 3D generative design. And with this application, you can generate patterns. We see a lot of designs nowadays with organic patterns, as you can see some examples on the left. And we have an application now to generate those very easy and fast. So if you would model those patterns in the classical CATIA way, it could take you days easily in order to generate those patterns if they are complex. But with this application, we can bring this time down to only some hours. Here are some examples again. What is interesting here is that this is one of the first applications that we have that works just in the browser. So that means you don't need any installation of the native client here. You just go into your browser, access the 3D experience platform in the internet, in the web, and you can generate those patterns there. And as you can see, it's node based. So you connect those nodes together in order to generate your patterns. And this is then fully integrated in CATIA. So what you release here will be automatically in your CATIA in the native client. And then you have different parameters to play with in order to influence the shape of the design of your pattern. Here are some examples out of the cabin that I've done. For the tables, for example, I used X-generative design to create different patterns for the backside of the table. Here a different variant. So this leads us to the product experience, to the visualization, basically. The application on the 3D experience platform in CATIA that's used for that is CATIA Live Rendering. So this is how we used to experience our cabin or our geometry while we were modeling before. But now we have this level of quality in our modeling environment, which is a huge difference, I would say. Those surfaces or this cabinets, it would be hard to judge by those gray shapes how this cabin will look like. But like this, it's a whole different story. In order to have this visualization, you need a lot of materials, of course, and you can create your customized, or you can customize your own materials. But CATIA now also comes with a huge palette of high-end materials. So here are some examples of different materials and of the quality. So we have different leathers in this library. Or different plastics. Of course, you can also scan existing material samples that you might have physically, and we can scan them and bring them in CATIA. Yeah. Also, what we have implemented is substance materials, and the big benefit that you have with substances materials, for those of you who haven't heard about it yet, is that you can influence the texture of the material itself with different sliders without going to Photoshop. So in this example, I have a slider to influence how much water is on my stone texture. So back then, in order to have something like that, you would have needed to go back to Photoshop, maybe, to paint artistically the water on your texture. But now you will have a slider that says water, and if you slide it to the right, you will have more amount of water on your texture. And that's a huge benefit of substance materials, and we have a huge library there as well. So yeah, again, another example of the real-time visualization. This video showcases quite quick the workflow, how to assign materials, how to get from a gray model to a lifelike one, a photorealistic one. So yeah, this just shows that you are really directly in CATIA. We can, as we are used from CATIA, we can change the parameters of the radiuses, for example, and now the user starts to assign materials to the different objects. So we have some metal parts, black plastic. Then here we have HDR images that will cover the lighting situation. There's also CATIA comes here with a huge library, and you can load any HDR image you want to the platform, to live rendering. And then I can really experience my model. In this case, it's not an airplane, it's a motorcycle. And yeah, I can do sections through my model in order to have a look in at the inside of the motor, for example. And here, yeah, you have the HDR image mapped around the object. And again, this is real time, so I'm in my modeling environment. And with this level of visual quality, I can model and change my radiuses, for example, or any shape that I want, as I'm used to from CATIA. Yeah, I can also assign a depth of field if I want. And of course, change the colors of the material. Assign a different material. And that's a substance material. So here you will experience the substance material that I talked about before. So this is all like those sliders were all like you have them in the regular material, but here you can see that you have different sliders in order to influence the texture itself. So how this texture of the material looks like. And that's something unique with those substance materials. And then again, we have always direct access to VR glasses to experience our model in virtual reality. So that's actually Daniel, who was reviewing this motorcycle. Yes. But of course, there is not only the real-time visualization. You also have the possibility to switch on interactive ray tracing in order to experience your model with physical correct behavior of lights and shadows. So that's if you switch on the live rendering, the interactive ray tracing, you will see your data how it will look like in the real world, physically correct. So yeah, I switch in to another HDR image to another environment in order to review it in different lighting conditions. But of course, what you see is when you get this, when you switch on the ray tracing, is that you will always have those iterations. But we came up with something new there as well, and that's the denoiser. You can switch on the denoiser and you can tell the program, okay, after, I don't know, let's say 8 iterations, the denoiser should kick in. And then you see what it does is there is an algorithm which takes away all of those iterations, and it will give you a sharp image much faster. But still it will continue to calculate behind. The image will get sharper and sharper as well. But this is very handy because you have much faster a clear image where you can judge if your model is looking all right after physical correct conditions of light and shadow. And of course, you can also render out those images and also animations. And that's the visual quality that we can achieve by rendering out directly out of CATIA on the 3D Experience platform. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have cabin pictures that I'm allowed to show here, but I have a train at least. So no aircraft cabin. Sorry for that. Then also another new application that we have is product perception experience. And with this, you can generate real quick, directly with your CATIA data, a design presentation. And you could use that for your customers, maybe let's say for an airline, or you could use it for internal meetings in order to present to the board, for example. So I have a quick video to showcase that. So I can generate different thumbnails, different camera positions, for example, and different variations of my cabin. So here you see I switch from a 2D, two seat row to a 3-seat row, for example. And then also I can create quick animations in order to showcase how, for example, how this tablet is placed in the front seat, in the seat in front of me. I can fold down the window blinds, and I can switch to different material variations, different lights in this example. And the great benefit is that this is directly in CATIA and it's accessing the real CATIA data. And that means if a designer or an engineer will change the shape, for example, of the seat or of this table, I will get those updates instantly without doing anything. So I create this presentation once and I will be sure that I will always have the latest data in it, because there are no data uploads or imports involved. I access the exact engineering CATIA data or design CATIA data. So next would be product experience virtual reality. So as I said already, we support many VR hardware directly out of the platform. So we have the HMDs, the head-mounted displays on the left side, and then it goes to power walls, caves, and even caves with VR clusters. And all that instantly, directly out of the platform without spending any time on extra preparing your scene or something. Just by click of a button, you can access or use those devices directly out of CATIA. Yeah, as you can see here. So I brought some examples as well. This one is from the automotive industry. And yeah, I have this gear stick and I'm in CATIA. You again can experience the visual level of visual quality that we have. So I'm modeling, that's subdivision surface modeling with Imagine and Shape. So I'm changing the shape of this gear stick. I review it, but just reviewing on the screen might not always be enough in order to judge. So I change my lighting conditions and switch on the HTC Vive in order to review the gear stick now in my cockpit or in my driver's seat in virtual reality. And I can review it and take some decisions. Maybe I like it, maybe I like it not. Maybe I want to change it back. Maybe I want to use a different material on it. Fine, I just switch on the HTC Vive, switch off the HTC Vive, the glasses, and do those changes instantly because I'm right in CATIA. I have another example out of the aerospace. So I have the storage part, and I placed it in my private jet cabin. And I want to see how it looks and experience it in virtual reality. So yeah, as I'm directly in CATIA, no problem. I can switch on the HTC Vive and review it in VR. In my cabin. All right. Also, with the latest releases, we have some new features in virtual reality. So it's not just reviewing anymore. You can also interact with your model in VR. So for example, here you can hide and show different parts of your model while you are in the virtual reality. You can measure between 2 points that you can define. And pretty cool, you can do sections. So you can cut through your model and then have a look at the inside of the engine, for example. And here he is hiding again different parts, but with the section still applied. So he's hiding stuff again here. But there's one more feature that I would like to show. I think it's coming now. Which is a really cool effect, is explode. So you can explode your model into its pieces and all the single parts will fly around you in VR. And you can have a look at all the different single parts and you can put them together as well. That's pretty nice. All right. Also, what we are able to do is to have VR sessions collaborative. That means that people can sit all over the world and both take on the head-mounted displays, the VR glasses, and they will meet in virtual reality and review a model together. So that's exactly what you can see here in this quick video. So both start VR, take on the glasses, and meet in the virtual reality and observe the model together in order to discuss certain things. So this could be done between the two designers, designer and engineer, but maybe also between salesperson and customer. And they don't have to be at the same spot. They can sit at their home, which could be on any place around the world, and then they can meet in virtual reality. And all that directly on the CATIA data. Yeah, again, because it fits to VR, I have a small reminder that we also have Natural Sketch VR, but we've seen the video already. Also, what we support are touch screens, as you can see here. Of course, those they go along pretty good with this application product perception experience that I've shown before with the design presentations. And as well with power walls. Same application is used here. Also, screen mirroring with power walls is possible. So one person is operating CATIA, and you could review what he is doing on the power wall in real time. And also power walls where you navigate with this flight stick and with head tracking. We can support directly out of the platform, out of CATIA. And also caves. So in this case, a three-sided cave. We can support directly out of CATIA on the 3D Experience platform. All right, that was it from my side. Thanks for your attention. And then I would like to switch over to my colleague, Daniel. I will make you presenter, Daniel, I think. Oh, change presenter. Daniel, you should be presenter now.
Perfect. I hope you can see my screen now.
I can. Great.
Thank you very much, Felix, for your presentation. Very nice. Very, very cool stuff you have shown us. Yeah, I will not lose any time anymore. I'd like to introduce myself as well. I'm Daniel Dresemann. I'm in the CATIA Design team in the product experience part team. I'm working as a portfolio technical specialist in there. So, and I like to introduce you the topic of perceived quality in the aerospace and defense industry. Besides the aerospace and defense industry, we have a couple of more industries where the perceived quality is a big topic and where visualization can help us inside the 3D experience. So we do have the transport and mobility industry, the high-tech industry, parts of the industrial equipment are very important, and also consumer goods, and also how you package these consumer goods. Okay, let's get into the topic of what a perceived quality is. So let's start with a definition of quality, first of all. There are various types of quality around the product. Basically, first of all, there's a brand quality. The brand quality is how the brand appears to the customer. Then there's also the experience quality. The experience quality is what the customer gets by using the product or the brand services. Next point is the product quality. What can the product give to the customer? Or what can the product can do or give to the customer, basically. And last but not least, we have the perceived quality. So basically, that is the situation where the customer get in contact the first time with the product itself, and he sees it. So basically, after we know now what perceived quality is, we have to think about how can a human interact with a product, basically with his senses. So you can look at your product, you can touch the product, so feel it. If it's a fabric or plastic, whatever, you can hear maybe it, depending on the product itself. You can taste it, as you can see here, or you can smell it. In the 3D experience, and with the help of visualization, we focus today on the side part. If you look on the side, we can define this in 5 different domains. And for each of them, I'd like to give you an example. So first of all, we have the shape appearance. This tries to define the best shape design related to its functions, meaning decoration, trim, feasibility, and by adding fillet, chamfers, and grooves. Basically, you want to study the overall shapes harmony of an assembly design or assembly to give a style consistency. Next topic is then the illumination condition. This is what our eyes attracts differently on shape designs and valuable materials by illuminating them. Meaning, so what is the goal behind that? The goal is to hide junctions and parts assembly through shadows. Avoid also mismatch between matte and glossy treatment to avoid disturbing it and not to disturb the user by it. For example, as you can see here in this cabin, you have 2 different light situations. You have on the right side a yellowish color and on the ceiling a bluish color. But basically, the material you're looking at is the same plastic white stuff, but it is completely different. It has a complete different effect to you as a user. So very important topic here in the perceived quality domain. Then you have the visual quality. This is the appearance of the overall product or one-on-one part. The question here is, what is our goal? Does it give you a desirable feeling as a customer on materials, on decoration parts in terms of your surfaces? So if you change the material on this small airplane, how does the visual quality change to you as a customer? The next part will be then about the text and the symbols. This is the comprehension on the product functions and the button logos while operating it. So that means, can you reach everything in terms of position, and understand is everything understandable about in terms of size, font, and graphics. Last part here is now the pattern, gloss, and color part. So this is meaning, this defines on the surface treatment. You try to choose the best association of them. So basically for the best material distribution on shapes, and check their matching on the assembly next to each other. As you can see here in this example, we have various parts here. We have an assembly, so that's a door opener. On the top you have a wooden example, then you have a leather extract. Below that you have a chrome and a brushed aluminum part. Does this fit everything together? So we covered now the what is the perceived quality. Let's come to the why should we do perceived quality. So basically, first of all, with the help of visualization, you can enhance your process. You can speed up your process. So basically, you can save time because you can reduce the time for analysis using digital mockups. This relates to a faster decision process. And furthermore, with that, you can spend a lot of costs by reducing the amount of physical prototypes. Let's have a look on the timeline. When do we want to do the perceived quality? Basically in all R&D phases. And we want to do it from the start to the end. So basically you start with the design, going through the engineering part and have a technical release. Then you start to do the first prototype for the whole assembly, or at least also for single parts. You mock them up as the full product is finished. And then you try to find out all the important part on a physical perceived quality review. Basically, if you start after the technical release, because you couldn't start you couldn't start earlier before that, you could have some impact on your production results because you do have a lack of studies. So therefore, if you integrate the digital perceived quality in the very beginning of your timeline here, you can find out a lot of stuff on impacts on the production results. And then you can already reduce these impacts and put them on your first physical prototype. And if you then do the perceived quality you can have a more efficient studies, which then really relates into a better timing and less costs. Let's come now to the person or the departments who need to do the perceived quality. We have the stylists and engineers. It's mostly what I have just shown you, and what Felix has shown you is more like that we have a style, the designers and the modelers, especially the modelers, who really like to visualize their results because it's a better understanding. It's one common language if you see the product on the visual support. But not only these designers need visualization, you do have engineers who has a need of material decisions. They want to have a look, how does these materials look like? If you can go in the quality department, they want to know, does that fit very good? You have a lot of parts, as you know. Are there gaps? Are there flashes? So in terms of tolerances. And then you have the product team, the product specialists and the market planners who can leverage from the visualization as well. Let's come to the part where you where I want to show you how we with the 3D experience can support you to do the perceived quality. So to the part of how. First of all, we have the data prep. We can shorten the time with the data prep as Felix has shown you, because you are working on the 3D data, which is your CAD data, and you can all the time visualize these data and put materials on it, and then have a better understanding of them. Just not gray, it's really realistic. Furthermore, we can recreate scenarios from the customer. Basically, we are having a virtual representation of your product. We can define various cameras to recreate the customer point of view, basically with the on the desktop, and as you have seen in virtual reality. The same goes for the lighting situation, as we can recreate these the same lighting situations as in reality because of our ray tracing capabilities. If you have a look at the material, you know that each company has his own material styles and his own catalogs. So we can do these for you, or you can do these on the 3D experience platform also. And the last point is to analyze the design and in the engineering issues like tolerances on your assembled model. For the last two topics, I have brought some example with me. First of all, we will start with the materials. As Felix also mentioned already, you can leverage from advanced scanning technologies by the company called X-Rite. We can now integrate native AXIF data into the 3D experience, which is a measured material, a scanned measured material on a very high level. Out of that, you can create digital material libraries for collaboration and reuse, and you can faster your workflows and automate them as well. By using these technologies, you can easily define your corporate designs and contrast harmonies. Here an example, as you always have you have seen for the color and trim decisions with the help of visualization. I have brought 3 different materials with me. So basically, this helps you already in the visualization part to find the best decision for your company, and then just create 2 different prototypes, physical prototypes out of it, instead of 10 or even more. So now let's go into a more engineering-related perceived quality topic. This is where we have a partnership with with a company called DCS, basically called Dimensional Control Systems, which is the world market leader for tolerance analysis and simulations. They're sitting in the US, and they are a CEA partner since 1998. And they support us in CATIA V5, V6, and also in the 3D experience. And as you can see here, we have DCS has also a very wide range on aerospace and defense references. So how to do perceived quality in terms of tolerance analysis? Normally, the designer starts with the design visualization, as you have seen this before. Then they define the measurements, and they define the so-called specification studies. So basically, they define which variation is acceptable if you have 2 parts next to each other and they have a gap between these things. So basically, you do have this, and then you define the acceptance of this variation. This is the input for the designers, basically. They do the tolerancing, and as you know, in the manufacturing processes, every part looks different, a bit different to the other before them, or it is not 100% exactly the same as it before. So So now there comes simulation data into the topic. They can simulate the manufacturing process and the building process of the single parts, and they can predict which variation they can meet in the end. So basically, both teams sit together in the end and say, okay, we do have some variation defined, and the engineer said, okay, we have found out this is what we can reach with our current methods, under the condition of course on quality, on costs. So basically, I have brought video for you with me. So let's start that video. What you can see here is, in this case, in the Team M industry, the engineers have run a Monte Carlo simulation, and they have found out, okay, we have a couple of tolerances where we get out of specification, and they can now show this to the designers. And the designers have to say, in terms of quality and with the quality department together, do we need to do modifications or not? Because it's a time and costs decision. And as you can see here in the at the end, you can also render these specifications out with the power of ray tracing, so to get the correct reflections and shadowing, which is really important in this topic here. Furthermore, another video shows you the review with the team members. So basically a collaboration situation with exactly. So both are now defining the gaps they want to investigate. And now it comes again to the power of the 3D experience, and I can activate my HMD and have free navigation and head tracking. So they get then that I can get in the position of the customer later on and review my quality of my product. Basically, this ends up again in the brand quality and how the product will then appears to the customer. Last but not least, a quick summary here. You do have seen this summary already, this circle already from Felix. I'd like to put it again on the table here because it is really important that you see we have integrated the different shaping apps, as you have seen from Felix: generative shape design, item surf experience, part design, imagine and shape, all the things inside the 3D experience. In terms of perceived quality, you can do now the first perceived quality review because you do have everything done here on the shaping part. If you want to go now on the visualization part, you can just put material, switch the app and put materials on it. So you switch to CATIA Live Rendering, assign materials as I just mentioned, assign ambiences, put an ambience and lighting around that, define some cameras, and even if you want, you can ray trace it. Again, you can do another perceived quality review based on your based on the shape with the visualization together. With the power of the 3D experience platform, you can now jump easily into the VR section and have a one-to-one scale review, which is pretty important if you want to be in the customer's perspective. And in the end, we're bringing all stakeholders together. So the designers, the shapers, the shaping guys, the visualization guys, and the managers, and also the engineers. As you just can see here with the integration of the DCS, we can do gap and flush simulations and also review that. So basically, as an end sentence, we can do the full integration. We have with the full integration, no data transfer anymore. We have high-end visualization all along the process flow, and you can at each step do a VR experience at any time.
Okay, then thanks a lot for your attention. It was a long webinar. Thank you very much. You will get the recording tomorrow, and I wish you a pleasant day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.